Have you ever wondered why some truths feel too tender to expose, even to the man you love? There is a part of you that wants to be seen so completely that no fragment remains hidden, as if transparency itself could keep someone close. But maybe you've noticed that this hunger to reveal everything carries a quiet desperation. It's that old ache in your chest, the fear that if you don't share every corner of your heart, you'll be abandoned in the dark again. You felt it, didn't you? That silent bargain you made with yourself. If I give him all of me, maybe he'll finally stay. And yet, Louise Hay used to remind us that this need to overexpose our souls is not true intimacy. It's often the voice of the little girl inside, still terrified of being left behind. There is something sacred about keeping parts of your heart for yourself, like a secret garden where no one's footsteps have ever pressed the soil. You don't have to show every seed you've planted, or every wound that is still raw. Some things are meant to grow in silence, far from curious eyes or careless hands. Imagine that space inside you, the one no man has ever entered. That is not loneliness. That is your sanctuary. And perhaps you've been taught that secrecy is a form of dishonesty. But what if the truth is simpler? What if not every story is ready to be told? What if protecting your own softness is the most honest thing you could ever do? There's a quiet strength in knowing which parts of your spirit are still in tender bloom. Clarissa Pinkola Estes wrote that a woman who has come home to herself understands the difference between hiding and honoring. She keeps her mysteries not as weapons but as treasures, knowing that some moments of her life are too sacred to be handled by anyone else's expectations. When you feel the urge to pour everything out, every fear, every secret, every unanswered question, pause for a moment and breathe. Feel your heartbeat reminding you that you are enough, even when you keep certain things unspoken. Because the truth is, the deepest love you can offer yourself is the willingness to hold your own story with reverence, to let your heart be both known and protected, to share not from fear of losing someone, but from the overflow of trust you've first cultivated within. Some truths are not walls. They are soft rooms inside your soul where only you belong. And in that place, you will find the power that no one can ever take from you. And when you think about the parts of yourself you've hidden, there is one place more tender than all the others. The wounds you've carried alone, the stories etched beneath your skin. Sometimes you feel an urge to offer these scars to a man, to lay them in his hands as proof of your trust, as if his acceptance could erase their memory. But there is a truth that hums beneath the surface of every relationship. Your scars are not an invitation to save you. They are a testament to everything you survived before he ever arrived. You have been through nights when no one came to hold you. You have felt the emptiness of a bed that stayed cold long after the goodbye. You have sat in your own silence, wondering if you were simply too much or not enough. And yet, you woke up. You kept breathing. You kept going. Louise Hay said, "You have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens." When you share every hidden ache with someone who hasn't earned your trust, you are not inviting closeness. You are offering a map to the most vulnerable corners of your soul, hoping he will tread gently. But not every heart knows how to hold what is delicate. Not every man has the courage to stand beside your pain without trying to own it or fix it. And sometimes, when you expose your wounds too soon, you teach him where to press when he feels insecure. You give him the blueprint for how to keep you small. There is nothing selfish in waiting to see if his presence is worthy of your truth. Nothing unkind about allowing your scars to remain yours a little longer. Some memories need time to integrate before they can be shared. Some healing requires your own hands, your own voice, your own breath. Because when you finally choose to let someone witness your hidden places, it should feel like an offering, not a transaction. A gift you extend because you have already learned to hold yourself with tenderness. And when he is ready, when you are ready, that sharing will come from a place of strength, not a hunger to be saved. But what happens when the night stretches long and silent, and you feel that familiar emptiness curling itself around your heart? There is a loneliness that visits you in those hours when no message arrives, no voice calls your name, no arms pull you back to the warmth you crave. You have known this feeling, the way it seeps into your chest like a quiet fog. You have wondered if you are the only one who lies awake, listening for a sound that never comes. And in that hollow space, you might believe that confessing your loneliness will make him understand, will make him cherish you, will make him stay. Yet solitude is not your enemy. Solitude is sacred. It is the place where you meet the parts of yourself that no relationship can complete. When you rush to confess that your world feels empty without him, you are not just sharing a feeling. You are revealing a hunger that can cloud your judgment and weaken the field of energy that surrounds you. That magnetic field, the quiet force of your self-respect and presence, begins to flicker when desperation takes its place. There are men who will sense that flicker and lean closer, not out of love, but out of the thrill of knowing they hold something fragile in their hands. It is a tender paradox, isn't it? The desire to be known in your rawest moments, and the wisdom to protect those same moments until you are sure they will be held with reverence. When you whisper your loneliness to someone who hasn't shown the steadiness to honor it, you plant seeds of expectation in soil that cannot sustain them. You hope he will become the shelter you long for, but often, he becomes a mirror reflecting your own doubt back to you. And so, in those hours when the silence feels heavy and the darkness feels endless, remember this: your solitude is not proof of your unworthiness. It is an invitation to return to yourself, to discover that no man's presence will ever replace the sanctuary you can build within. And if you pause for a moment to look more closely, you will see another place where your tenderness wants to spill into his hands. It is that impulse to share every vision of your future before he has earned the right to stand beside it. There is a sweetness in dreaming out loud, in imagining what could be built together. But sometimes, that sweetness is laced with a quiet longing to secure someone's commitment before they have proven their devotion. You know this feeling, the urge to sketch out plans, to weave your lives into a single story, to believe that naming your hopes will make them safer, more real, more inevitable. But sharing your dreams too soon is like opening the doors of a house still under construction. The walls have not been sealed. The foundation is not yet strong. And when you invite someone inside without discernment, you risk confusing curiosity with commitment. You risk believing that a conversation about tomorrow is the same as a promise to show up when tomorrow arrives. Your life is not an empty canvas waiting to be filled by another's brush. It is an architecture, intricate and worthy of protection, and not everyone has the patience or integrity to help you build it. There is nothing small or guarded about keeping your plans close to your heart until you feel certain they will be honored. That choice is not a game. It is not manipulation. It is discernment, the ability to recognize that your visions are sacred and deserve the respect of someone who has demonstrated consistency, not just enthusiasm. Because when a man truly values you, he will not need to be given a roadmap to your future. He will stand beside you with steady hands and an open heart, ready to walk each step without needing every detail revealed. So when you feel the ache to share everything at once, breathe into the space between longing and patience. Your dreams deserve to be held in a place where they can grow without being plucked too soon. There is a moment, quiet and almost invisible, when your thoughts drift to other women. You might not speak it out loud, but somewhere in your chest, you feel the comparison like a small, persistent bruise. You look at her hair, her laugh, the way she seems effortlessly chosen, and a part of you wonders if you will ever be enough. And sometimes, when you feel the closeness growing with a man, you are tempted to confess this envy as if offering proof of your vulnerability, hoping that by admitting your self-doubt, he will soothe it, dissolve it, love it away. But when you reveal how much you measure yourself against others, you are not simply being transparent. You are unfolding the oldest wound, the belief that your worth is a fragile thing, forever at risk of being outshone. You have carried this wound since before you can remember. Perhaps it was planted in childhood, watered by every moment you felt unseen, and harvested in relationships where you were taught that love was something you had to compete for. And yet, the truth is this: no one can validate you enough to heal that ache. No man's reassurance can ever replace the quiet work of learning to see your own beauty, without needing someone else to confirm it. A man who respects you will admire your softness but will never find strength in your confession of envy, because when you betray yourself in comparison, you abandon the part of you that is whole, unique, unrepeatable. It is not weakness to feel the ache of unworthiness. All women know this ache in some form, but there is wisdom in holding that ache with dignity, instead of offering it as a way to secure affection. When you feel the urge to speak every fear of being less than, pause. Feel your heartbeat, steady and true, reminding you that your value has never been a competition. Even in the moments when you doubt your light, it does not stop shining. And that light, quietly and unmistakably, is yours alone. And if you listen closely to that quiet voice inside, you will hear another truth rising to the surface. It is the understanding that some parts of you still ache for validation, still wait for someone to confirm that you are enough, still believe that love will finally silence the doubt. There is no shame in this longing. Every woman has felt it, the pull to hand over her questions to someone else, hoping they will answer them with unwavering certainty. But when you overshare your doubts with a man who has not proven the strength to honor them, you are not inviting intimacy. You are giving him the script to control you. Louise Hay said, "I do not fix problems. I fix my thinking. Then problems fix themselves." And in these words, there is a kind of freedom that can feel almost terrifying. Because when you stop asking others to reassure you, you discover the quiet responsibility of learning to reassure yourself. When you keep certain fears close, it is not because you are hiding who you are. It is because you are learning to become the woman who no longer needs her worth reflected back to her in someone else's eyes. That transformation takes time. It takes gentleness. It takes the willingness to sit with your own uncertainty and breathe through it without reaching for an immediate rescue. There is a sacredness in protecting the places that still feel tender. Those parts of you deserve compassion, not exposure. They deserve your patience, not your urgency to have them understood by someone who may not yet have earned that place in your heart. When you feel the need to reveal every doubt, every insecurity, pause and ask yourself, is this sharing coming from trust or from fear? Is this the voice of my wholeness, or the voice of the girl who still believes she must perform her pain to be worthy of care? In that pause, you may find a softness you have never known, the softness of belonging fully to yourself. And when you look back over your shoulder, you might feel the weight of every betrayal you have survived. There is a certain comfort in recounting those stories, in naming the moments when you were disappointed, abandoned, or deceived. You may believe that by sharing each memory with a new partner, you are protecting yourself, laying out the evidence of your past so that it will never be repeated. But hidden beneath that impulse is something softer, more vulnerable, the wish that if he understands how much you have been hurt, he will be extra careful with your heart. You have hoped that your honesty would inspire his loyalty, that your confessions would be the reason he would choose not to wound you in the same way. But the truth is quieter than that. When you detail every past betrayal, you offer not just your history but your power. You hand over the most private parts of your story to someone who has not yet proven he will guard them with integrity. And sometimes, unknowingly, you give him a map of where your trust has been broken before, a map that can become ammunition in moments of conflict or insecurity. Not every man will use that information against you, but not every man is ready to honor it either. And the risk of sharing too soon is that you may mistake the relief of being understood for the reality of being safe. There is a difference between keeping secrets and keeping wisdom. You can carry the lessons of your past without making them an offering. You can honor the pain you have lived through without needing anyone else to validate its importance. And when you choose to hold those stories a little longer, you are not being closed or distant. You are simply creating space to discover whether this person standing before you has the steadiness to meet you without using your past against you. Some memories belong first to your own healing, to your own quiet process of integrating what you have endured. And when the time comes to share them, it will be because you have already reclaimed your power, not because you are hoping someone else will give it back to you. And in the quiet spaces where your independence lives, there is another truth that often goes unspoken. It is the way you sometimes feel compelled to reveal your financial vulnerabilities, to prove your trust or your openness. Perhaps you believe that letting a man see where you feel uncertain about money will create a deeper bond, that it will show him you are willing to be transparent about everything. There is a tenderness in this impulse, a part of you that wants to be fully known, even in the places where you still feel small. But your independence is not something you owe to anyone. It is a fortress you have built over years of learning to stand on your own feet. When you share every detail of your finances too soon, you risk giving away a part of your sovereignty before you have seen whether he deserves that closeness. You might not even realize how much power you are handing over when you confess the insecurities you carry about what you have or what you lack. Sometimes, this exposure is not about intimacy at all. It is about the old longing to be rescued, to feel safer because someone else knows where you feel afraid. A man who respects you will never need your weaknesses to feel strong. He will never expect you to strip away your dignity or reveal your private fears in order to prove your worthiness. And when you keep those parts of your life close until you feel secure, it is not secrecy, it is self-respect. It is a quiet understanding that your value is not measured by how quickly you hand over the keys to your most private rooms. There is wisdom in allowing time to show you who can be trusted to enter your life with integrity. And when you meet someone who has earned that trust, sharing your vulnerabilities will feel like a conscious choice, not a silent plea to be protected. And as you look deeper into the hidden rooms of your heart, you may notice the quiet rituals that have carried you through your hardest days, the moments when you lit a candle, not for anyone else, but for yourself. The prayers whispered into your pillow when no one was listening. The sacred practices that helped you remember you were never truly alone, even when the world felt indifferent to your ache. These are the moments that built your resilience, the unseen acts of devotion that shaped the woman you are becoming. And sometimes, when a new love begins to bloom, you feel tempted to share every detail of your spiritual life, to lay it all at his feet, as if that would prove how open, how trustworthy, how unguarded you are. But your connection to the divine is yours alone. It is not something that needs to be validated or understood by anyone else to be real. Not every man will appreciate the quiet power of your practices. Some may misunderstand them, diminish them, or try to weave themselves into spaces that were never meant to be shared. Your spiritual life is like an inner sanctuary, a private temple where your soul finds rest. When you reveal every ritual too soon, you risk inviting opinions and judgments into a place that should remain free of both. There is nothing cold or distant about keeping certain parts of your spirituality sacred. It is not a test or a barrier. It is a way of honoring the mystery that belongs only to you. When you trust yourself enough to protect what is holy, you step into a deeper kind of sovereignty, the knowing that you do not have to explain or defend the things that keep you whole. And when you eventually choose to share these practices, it will be because you feel safe enough to let someone witness the most intimate spaces of your soul, without fear that they will be dismissed or desecrated. Until then, let your private sanctuary remain untouched, a reminder that the deepest love begins with the devotion you offer yourself. And if you soften your gaze for just a moment, you may see the last place where your heart wants to surrender all its secrets. It is the part of you that still hopes to be chosen, still aches to be picked above all others, still carries the hunger to be the one who is finally enough. You have felt this longing in the quietest moments, when he delayed his reply, when he seemed distant, when you wondered if he was comparing you to someone else, and perhaps you believed that showing him how deeply you want to belong would make him love you more, that confessing your desire would convince him to stay. But the truth is that this need to be chosen is not a testament to your love. It is a reflection of a wound, the place inside you that learned to measure your worth by how quickly someone would claim you. When you reveal the depth of this hunger too soon, you give away a power that is not meant to be handed over. You teach him that you will wait, that you will bend, that you will make yourself smaller just to be kept. And slowly, almost without realizing it, you become replaceable in your own eyes, as if your value were something he could grant or withdraw. There is a different way to meet this ache, not by denying it or pretending you never feel it, but by holding it gently, as you would hold a younger version of yourself who still believes that love must be earned through sacrifice. When you keep the full extent of your desire to be chosen hidden, you are not playing a game. You are honoring the truth that you are already whole, already worthy, already complete. You are choosing to let your presence speak louder than your pleas. And in that quiet self-containment, you will discover that the most powerful love is never about proving yourself to anyone. It is about remembering that you have always belonged to yourself first. And as you breathe into this understanding, you may notice a quiet softness settling into your body, the realization that you do not have to reveal every corner of your soul to feel worthy of love. You do not have to open every door or share every story. You do not have to prove your sincerity by offering parts of yourself that are still learning how to heal. Louise Hay once said, "I am in the right place, at the right time, doing the right thing." And perhaps that is all you need to remember when the urge arises to over-explain, to overgive, to overexpose. You are allowed to keep some truths for yourself. not as a wall to keep others out, but as a sanctuary that holds your deepest knowing. The woman you are becoming does not need to be understood to be respected. She does not need to be fully known to be fully loved. She does not need to be chosen to feel complete. Clarissa Pinkola Estes wrote that your hidden truths are the bones of your wild woman, the parts no man should ever fully own. Those hidden truths are where your freedom lives, where your intuition breathes, where your power waits to be remembered. Imagine for a moment that your silence about certain things is not an absence. It is a presence, a quiet place inside you that no one else can touch. A room with no door, no key, no need for permission. In that space, you remain whole, even when love is uncertain, even when someone walks away, even when you feel the old ache rising in your chest. This is the sanctuary you build every time you choose to honor what is sacred instead of surrendering it too soon. And in that choice, you become the woman who no longer waits to be rescued, because she has already learned to stand in her own light. If this reflection has stirred something in you, I invite you to stay close to this journey. Subscribe to this space so you never walk alone in your healing. And when you feel ready to keep exploring, there is another video waiting on your screen now, a quiet guide into the next step of your awakening. Let it meet you exactly where you are.